What if 2025 was the year that you actually start making the changes that you say you're going to make? If you're feeling go through the same patterns, cycles of setting all of these goals at the beginning of the year, a month, 2 months later, the rest of the year, you're feeling stuck, unmotivated, like your goals or your dreams are just out of reach. I completely understand because I've been in that position multiple times myself. But I have good news. My name is Emma McIntosh. I'm a former corporate consultant, now working as a cognitive behavioral therapist. In this video, I'm going to take you through 5 clear, simple, actionable steps you can take to implement your goals and make this year the best year yet. Let's dive in. So, first step, assessing your relationship with social media. We've all been there. We might live with it daily, the constant scrolling, feeling a bit lost, stuck, overwhelmed with the amount of information that your brain is exposed to on a daily basis. Our relationship with social media can impact our focus, goals, relationships, physical and mental health. It might be worth being honest about this for yourself. I definitely have a problem with social media, scrolling in the morning, whenever I'm stuck or distracted from work, scrolling in the evening. It's just feeling like my brain is constantly full of the noise of other people's lives. When I look at where I currently am and where I want to go, you need to be honest with yourself, like what is blocking you from moving towards your goals. And for me, I know that it's the time I spend on social media and the impact social media has on my brain, like fogginess of brain. I would go as far to say I think I might have an addiction. If I'm on my phone 3 to 4 hours a day, quite a lot of that is social media. If that addiction were drugs or alcohol, it would be more obvious. Social media addiction is so normalized in our society. I feel like I'm walking around like a zombie. Concrete steps you can take to reassess your relationship with social media. First of all, audit your usage. Note when you use your phone. Is it in the morning, in the afternoon, evening? Like, are there times where you're feeling a certain emotion, you don't want to wake up, or work feels so overwhelming? The second step you can take are setting boundaries. I've got a lot better at keeping my phone outside of my bedroom. I put an alarm on in the other room. I have to go and switch that alarm off when I wake up, so I physically have to move my body straight away when I wake up. I know not to put my phone next to a place where I'm going to sit down, so I can't really put it on a kitchen table. I know for some people set alarms when they go on their phones, they only give themselves like 10-15 minutes to look on social media. All of this is about experimenting and being open and honest with yourself, and also compassionate. Like, these apps are designed to keep you addicted. It's not about shaming yourself. It's really about just objectively observing and acknowledging, like, is it helping me? Is it not helping me? What steps can I take to help myself? Recently, I heard someone say was around reframing consumption. So, how many people do you follow? Like, how many voices are you following? So, like 700 voices. As soon as you open that app, you're making yourself available for 700 people to talk at you about their ideas and their projects and their lives. And so if you feel like it's impacting you, really take small steps. Just be compassionate. Maybe unfollow a few people. Going cold turkey is not always sustainable, so you might want to experiment with different ways of managing this relationship. Let me know how you get on in the chat box below. Guidance piece number 2, simplify your goals. In the new year, there's sometimes quite a lot of excitement around setting new goals. The new year, it's a new month, it's a new me. It's exciting to have a fresh start. I remember setting quite a lot of goals last year, and I did achieve a lot last year, but the scary goals. I reviewed my year, remembered I was following like all these goal setting influencers. I don't know how many different templates, Excel sheets, Notion templates, tracking goals, tracking habits, tracking milestones. Like, I think I overwhelmed myself, the amount of systems and structures. I worked for a few weeks taking this, and then I just things happen in life and I just got distracted. So using like this overwhelming system can feel useful if you think you're going to stick to it. For me personally, I know I have to simplify. The evidence that I have from last year is if I set too many goals, I'm actually not going to achieve them. When I think of a friend that a year and a half ago, she had a baby. About 8 months after giving birth, she did this like a run cycle competition. She nailed it. She was insane. It was an amazing time. And I know that she's so good at deciding to do one thing and nailing it. It's incredible. Whereas I'll be like over here, like dancing around 10 goals. Take a leaf out of my friend's book. Here's one goal, nail it. A piece of advice I heard recently was think of your 5 goals you want to achieve. Move house, go on holiday, like change job, in a marathon. This can feel quite overwhelming. So consider if I really only had one choice, what's one goal out of this list of 5 that I'm going to achieve? And go for that. Okay, third step is doing what you say you're going to do. So a lot of us will set goals or even just say we're gonna do XYZ tomorrow and then we don't do it. And each time we don't do what we say we're gonna do, you're basically eroding the relationship you have with yourself, self-esteem, losing trust within yourself. This is like a gap and it becomes anxiety inducing. So what do we do about it? In the past, I used to run. It was easy. I just did it whenever I wanted. Like that was kind of lucky. Then I had this burnout. The ability to kind of push myself physically became really scary for me. So the last 7 years, like I haven't really pushed myself physically. And it kind of impacts the way that I see myself. Like over this last year, I set a goal to run once a week, achievable. Even if it's like 30 minutes or up to 1 hour, I've definitely got time to run once a week. And in keeping that promise with myself, I've really built confidence within myself. I can go for a run knowing it's not going to be like the scariest thing or the worst thing ever. Like it's okay, like you can run. Repetition, doing what you say you're going to do, make that step easy, make it achievable, is really going to help you build confidence within yourself, and it becomes like building block on top of building block. Okay, what can I do now? How can I support myself forward? Concrete steps around doing what you say you're going to do, first of all, is about being realistic. When you're in survival state, being able to reach your goals and push yourself physically or mentally can be really difficult. So you have to be really careful around, am I setting actually achievable goals? Don't compare yourself to other people. Your goals might be really, really basic, like run for 15 minutes once a week. Make your goals flexible. So some people set a goal around, I'm going to run every Monday at 6 o'clock. If it's that rigid, Mondays at 6 o'clock, like you might have other things that come up, like emergencies, whatever. So you might want to consider kind of set rigid goals, but also being a bit flexible. So for me, I know that my run once a week, I do it anytime. I just know that I have to do it. For example, a rigid goal, so I'm swimming once a week. I have created a system that helps me do what I say I'm going to do, ask people to come with me. So now every Thursday morning, I've got this little group of women, we go swimming. So around doing what you say you're going to do, 1, being realistic, 2, consider if you want to set these tiny goals to be fluid or rigid. Don't compare yourself to others, and also find accountability buddies. Number 4, implementing your strengths. One of the most well-known online courses called The Science of Wellbeing by Dr. Laurie Santos. She, in the first module, talks about identifying your strengths and then figuring out how to implement them into your daily or your weekly life. Because when you're constantly doing the things that you're good at, you're building up your self-esteem. There's an assessment, I'll link it for you below, it's free. So for me, learning that one of my key strengths was like passion for learning made me feel like less of an alien, because Like in the workplace where I used to be, like people would always talk about, even like in friendship groups now, like people always talk about what they watch on Netflix. But I feel so bored when I watch Netflix. I don't know why. Like I wish I could just watch Netflix and chill out like normal people, but I can't. And I've always felt really ashamed of that, like really like what's wrong with me? Like do I just have to force myself to watch Netflix so I can fit in? Instead of Netflix, I will literally watch YouTube. I have spent years watching different types of YouTube videos, and I really feel like it's helped me a lot. Like I just like to learn on YouTube. And I think in the past I felt really ashamed of this or like embarrassed by this or like, am I weird? Am I a nerd? Now I just feel like more accepting of myself. And I know that scheduling part of it into my daily or weekly life actually makes me feel better about myself. Like, it doesn't make me feel weird or that I'm different from other people. Like, it's just who I am, and that's one of my strengths, and I'm going to embrace it. Concrete action step one: take the assessment. We're all going to have different strengths. You implement it into your daily life or your weekly life. Like, schedule a little window where you're using your strength just to enjoy it, because it really helps your self-esteem. Generally, if we focus on our strengths and things that we are capable of, we're just going to feel better. Number 5, moving forward with your life, with your mindset. Our brains love familiarity. They love things that are the same. If you imagine like a big grass field that's really long, like up to your hips, each time you're having a thought or you're making a decision or you're taking an action or behavior, you're generally walking on that same path of grass, like you're walking on the grass. That becomes like a neural pathway, like we're constantly keeping ourselves stuck. If you have a brain that is anxious, we're constantly often keeping ourselves stuck in cycles of worry. Our brains also have a negative bias, so that means that whenever a situation happens, quite often our brains will jump into the negative perspective just as a coping mechanism to keep us safe. Also, feeling stuck or ruminating or feeling anxious can be addictive. Like, we can live in these patterns of, I'm not good enough, I'm never going to achieve this, I'm never going to do that. This type of thinking of almost like victimhood can feel addictive. And it's really important to know that you do not have to live your life there forever. You are allowed to move forward. You are allowed to create and build a life that you want, that you feel good in. Around this concept moving forward, for me, I've changed career, I've done this, I've done that, but changing career this year felt very scary around finances, being in a new country and building up a business. Like, what does all this look like? Just constantly worrying. And there's so many steps I can take to move forward, but I'm just like stuck, keeping myself small and mainly worried about making mistakes or what people think about me. The choice, like, do you keep yourself stuck, or do you identify how are you blocking yourself and what steps can you take to move yourself forward? Concrete action step you can take here is really work with a professional, a coach, a therapist. Sometimes hypnotherapy can work well in certain situations. Generally, if you've been through quite a challenging life or you've been through different types of trauma, your mind, your body, and your soul can keep yourself stuck out of fear. So if you want to grow, evolve, and expand, working with a professional can ultimately help you. Because I think, like, if we had a problem with our teeth, we'd go to a dentist. If we had a problem with our physical health, we'd go to a doctor. If you feel like your brain, like your engine, is not helping you towards going where you want to go, work with a professional therapist or a coach who can help you move faster. I think we all kind of get stuck in this pattern of like figure out the solutions to, maybe you can, but working with a professional is probably going to get you faster results. So, key points from this video were: assess your relationship with social media, simplify your goals, do what you say you're going to do, implement your strengths, and move forward. Hope this was useful. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Let me know how you get on in the chat box. If you feel this video was useful or could benefit someone else that you know, please feel free to share. Follow this channel, help me grow, and I'll be in touch again soon. Bye.